Howdy friends, today we are going to be making a video on my hydraulic can cruncher or beer can cruncher or soda can cruncher, whatever you want to call it, but it makes these small. Now I did a couple changes to it since the last time. I've done a lot of videos on this, so if you look in the past, if you want a little more information on it, you can go to the back and go to past videos. I'll explain a few of the things and go over them real quick, but I probably won't cover it all. This is a magnet right here. Serves no purpose. Just stuck it there. Anyhow, I put this. Can you see it? I put this pressure gauge on it. I put a T in here, put a little adapter here, and put a pressure gauge on to kind of see what I was pushing. And the reason I did that, we have. I'll take you around the other side. We made that big hydraulic press for Chucky, the guy that got his son got his truck stuck the other day. You saw that movie. They pulled it out with a great big John Deere tractor, not even his biggest one. See that pump down there? That's what we put on Chuck's. Oh, that's got a... Oh, I didn't realize that's a vane pump down there. I thought it was a gear pump. I'll be darned. That's the same setup that we got on Chuck's trash compactor. Came off a trash compactor, put it on his press. And I thought this thing was a gear pump, but it's not. Anyhow, that came free, okay, with a bunch of trash compactors they threw out. This cart here was thrown out years ago by somebody, but it didn't have the wheels on it. I bought those at an auction. There was a whole big pile of them. Back then, they were only $5 a piece. So I bought all of them. I don't know, I probably had about 10 of them. This was given to me, back in the 90s. Maybe earlier than that. No, in the 90s. This was given to me in the, guessing 80s or 90s. No, this was probably in the 80s. This was probably in the 90s. There's a lot of other junk laying on here. But I've gone through different motors back there. The motor I used to have on it was a 3/4 horse motor. And it was driven, I would drive this two-stage hydraulic pump, but the motor gave up the ghost. It wouldn't start. I thought the capacitor was gone in it. The capacitor wasn't gone in it. It was a starting winding burn up in it. So I got another motor from a friend, Jeffrey as a matter of fact, and put it on. It was a horse and a half motor, and it could not drive this. The other motor was an antique motor, and the horses antique horses are stronger than new horses. So then I went through a whole series of motors. I've come up with this and want to put this back on there, but it's just, when do I feel like making the mess? So I haven't done that. So I wondered, the reason I put that, back to this, the reason I put that on there is I thought there was a gear pump on this one, because some of those trash compactors had little gear pumps on them. Some of them had... the vane type. That's a Victor vane type pump on them. Anyhow, another thing I was doing, the reason that I'm kind of making this is somebody asked me, I said that I was crunching crayons with the this thing, the hydraulic can cruncher, and he made a comment on it. What I would do is I put these inch spacers by 1.5 inches. This is inch this way, 1.5 inches this way, and I put them in there so it wouldn't crunch my hands when you're trying to hold the nut in there. And they exploded so big, it was just a mess, so that didn't work. And then I bought that other cruncher. So we're going to crunch the cans up, get them out of the way here, because the other half of this organization at this house is barking about all the cans around. Flip the switch on. Nice and quiet compared to those gear pumps. Those gear pumps are pretty noisy. This thing is too slow, that's why I was switching motors around. And it takes it up to about 1,000 PSI. But this is just way too slow. The other one, that 3/4 horsepower with that two-stage pump, you couldn't put the cans in as fast as you could crunch them. They were just extremely fast. Now this makes it pretty thin. I don't know if you can, probably about the thickness of a nickel. You know, I drank these this morning before breakfast. some during breakfast, a couple after breakfast. I drink maybe 30 or 40 a meal. Nah, I'm kidding. I only drink about 20. Too many. They've been around for a while. This was a paint stand. Let me see if I can get you up over top here. Get you a little closer. And it actually doesn't take too long to crunch a bunch of cans, especially when you got two hands. Because I'd be loading them now with the other hand, but I'm holding the camera. It actually works better. I'll hold the camera thing. If you push them down a little bit here, it makes the crunch go down. Sometimes it comes over the top. Really doesn't matter. Now my old can cruncher was what we used down there at Jeffrey's on the hydraulic, it's the air over clamp on that bandsaw. That was about a 4.5, maybe a 5-inch bore air cylinder that came off an air handler. Once again, no money involved. No money involved. It seems to happen a lot here. You work with junk you got going around. I gotta go get some more cans. They're sitting over on the mill. Hold on. No, they're sitting outside. Throw them in here and get some more. Anyhow, that air cylinder worked good, but when you have a 5 and it was fast, don't get me wrong, it was fast, but when you're putting cans in as fast as you can go and you got a 5-inch cylinder go and it was air both directions, you're starting to, it was driving the air compressor crazy. So that's why I went to hydraulic. And the next reason I went to hydraulic, well, there were a lot of reasons. That was one of the things, was driving the air compressor crazy. Bring you back up here, lean you in here, and then I got my knee on the camera, so if it gets shaky, it's because my knee's shaky. It would drive the air compressor crazy, but it would suck so much air because I didn't have a gigantic air compressor. It was right good size. But the pressure would start going from, you know, the 100 and, I think I have it set at about 140 pounds. It's not real high. As the pressure went down, the cans wouldn't get crunched as far. And I'm nowhere near getting up to the 1,000 pounds that gauge is getting onto. It's hitting the bypass when it makes that noise. Uh-oh, those didn't drop. Now they did. Look, wrong direction. Trying to reach around the camera stand. Anyhow, as the air pressure went down, the cans kept getting wider and wider. They're almost the thickest 2/4. That was just too big. But I had all this junk around, but I had a cylinder that I had on here, and you can't see it, but the old part of it was back there, and that was maybe a 2.5-inch cylinder. That was something that was a purchase so many years ago I can't even remember. Let me turn this thing off again. I'll move the camera around so you can get a couple back views. Anyhow, we kind of enjoy making things out of things, and so that's what it was. And I'm making the camera today because it's raining out there. And I go down to Jeffrey's after I do this video. Go down to Jeffrey's, see what kind of trouble we can get into down there. We're waiting on parts on the wood splitter, waiting on parts on this, on that, waiting for dry weather to pull more trees out of the woods. Even though I have a couple more bank videos, I might put them on. So sorry if they kind of get boring, but it's what I do here, which is, you know, maybe it's not boring the first time or the second time, but after you've seen it a few times, you kind of sit there and go, hey, that's kind of crazy. There's a pressure regulator for paint spraying. I guess I'll put that on the floor so it doesn't crash. Show you this other, there's the old valve that used to have just a 90 on there. But the old cylinder was back here, and I just changed it around. This was all pickup trash. Like I said, that cart, the square part of the cart was, a throwaway. So I did buy the lines. The lines were kind of salty. I think there were 6 lines, because you got 2 there, maybe 5 lines. I don't know. You can figure it out. But I hope to put that green motor on it. That's a 2 horsepower motor to speed this up a little bit, because it's a little bit slow for me now. But when you're old, slow is sometimes okay. You know, I haven't ever got my finger smashed into it yet, but might be a first time. We'll crunch a few more of these, because I've already gone through I don't know how many. But normally, as soon as you put them in, when it was the 2-speed pump, they'd be in and back. You couldn't load them 2 at a time. So this isn't extremely fast, but you guys can count the seconds on how fast the stroke is. I crunched the long Arizona T1s too. When I was a janitor, they used to throw cans away all the time, and if you're a janitor, you know, I just put them in a bag, and I could bring 2 bags of cans home a week just goofing around. See, that one came up a little bit. See, we have a defective one here, guys. I don't know how small I could get one of these. You know, that's actually pretty thin. That's I ran out of cans. I don't have any more cans. So we'll turn it off. I never mounted the switch because I keep changing the motor configuration around, but I really think that I'm going to go to that green motor and put that 2-stage back on there. But I put 3 motors on this thing in 1 week trying to perk things up, and it never panned out. I think that was maybe 2 years ago. So if you look maybe a year and a half ago on the videos, now I'll tell you, there's a lot of old interesting videos. Most of them are, you know, there's just basic junk that I do around here. And so sometimes, a lot of times, it's just repetitive stuff. So this is kind of repetitive, but if you're new here, you haven't seen it, so it's not repetitive. But that I was going to use that to crunch the walnuts, and then I decided, because they just explode so big, and they wouldn't exactly go down into the bucket, and that wasn't, you know, something about eating out of a can. You know, you really ought to have a stainless steel can and all that kind of crap. So it ended up being what it is. I got that other can cruncher, which I showed you the movie, and I had mentioned something about the hydraulic can cruncher, and somebody made a comment on it. And you know, this kind of weather out there, I don't have a lot of outdoor stuff that I can do. So that's why we're doing this one. Trying to think what else is going on down here. Waiting on parts, like I said, on the wood splitter. The Detroit's packed away in Jeffrey's other barn, and it's raining out, and that Dodge truck's in there, so we're not going to get in there. We're trying to make another, what we call Mr. Lifted. It's a handicap lift, and we lift a lot of steel with it. That's that thing that I bought that seal for, and we resealed that pump, oh, I'm guessing a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I might not even videoed it. Because sometimes I forget to take the camera down there. I'm going to take the camera down there today and see what kind of mischief we're getting into. So I'm heading from here, pack up my cans, pack up my full soda cans to take them down there and empty them so I have something to crunch. And I'll be putting this one on tonight. And then probably tomorrow night, unless there's something really interesting down at Jeffrey's, I'll probably put a couple more, pulling some logs out. And if it dries out, it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, but it'll still be too muddy probably. And then Saturday, I think, and Sunday it's supposed to rain, so I'm screwed up there. The rain, it's just a poor time of the year, seasons of the year or whatever, to make good outdoor videos. I think Jeffrey's ordering some teeth for my saw blade down there. We got a couple walnut trees down there. We can saw down there. He's under roof down there, but we got to take that saw off the off his mill and get it up on the hammer and bench to straighten it up a little bit. It just hit too much metal. It's got to be touched up a bit. So anyway, that's it for this one, friends. I'm glad you came by. So do me a favor, if you like this kind of nonsense, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and send it to a friend if you would. It'd be helpful. I'm glad you're here. See you later. Bye-bye. Oh, now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off. Button. See ya.